reports, or even just saying Asha, we're then recording it, and then that person is going to be on the internet forever for falling down. And a lot of these videos end up on TikTok and Instagram Reels and get 1 million likes or so. And I think that's part of the reason, because it can make you quote unquote famous by having that viral video. But will you be famous in a way that uplifts others, or famous in a way that degrades others? And I think that's a compelling question that we'll answer through
That's
this segment.
that's indeed a compelling question. Will you be famous for doing the wrong thing and thinking that that is the best way to go? The answer is no, because the allure of social media recognition has skewed our priorities, often valuing virtual accolades over tangible assistance, as you rightly said. And this behavior is rooted in a complex web of psychological desires for validation on TikTok, validation on Facebook, on Instagram, and you name it. And this is unacceptable because the fear of missing out on what we call FMO, who
FOMO.
is, yeah, FOMO, yes, you
Yeah.
know it, right? The fear
Yeah.
of missing out, FOMO, FOMO, and the pursuit of social accuracy or social currency. Because the more people think that they have likes and views, regardless of what they post, they feel that external validation, and they think that they have social currency, which in reality is very, very aloof. Because understanding this, we must challenge ourselves to look beyond the screen and see the human need in front of us. Because let's face it, the smallest act of kindness is worth more than the grandest intention. Oscar Wilde once reminded us with this, urging us to prioritize compassion over clicks. How do you think, Afu, what impact does bystanders inactivity have on those in crisis and those ready to help? Do you think that this attitude of bystanders focusing and fixating in removing their phone to report a crisis, wanting to become the first journalist, the first person to broadcast negative information rather than jumping in to become a hero in saving a life, is actually a pattern that one is going to continue seeing it? So the question then is, what impact does bystander inactivity have on those in crisis and those ready to help? Does it make those ready to help disenfranchised?
That's a good point, because a lot of times in school we learn that being a bystander in bullying is almost as worse as being the perpetrator. And I think that is correct in the sense that we have to understand that despite it being like, obviously if like there's a shooting, obviously don't step in, but by even just remaining and not recording, you're instead doing better, because by recording such a tragic event, you don't know if those people consented to be on the internet. You don't know if they want their traumas out there. So even if per se you're not necessarily stepping in, even by just having the respect of other people to not record during a moment that they may not want to be seen on the internet, then I think that will allow many more people to become more literate. And this comes through media literacy, which is something we always talk about, because within that, if there's videos of people like falling down the stairs on your digital footprint, that can often catch up with you, because half the time you didn't get the consent for that. And also it can lead to a spiral of more negative videos, because if that negative video gets a lot of likes, then you'll feel more encouraged, that next time if you see something sad happening or something that you could intervene, you would rather just record. And that becomes a spiral of, and then it makes more people do it, and then from there we have a cycle of negativity rather than a cycle of positivity.
Well said. And that is really, really a very important point. I think we can see Max Run, Reham Valerin saying, no, in our today world, we prefer to let victims die while we do pictures and videos. But the question then is why? Where have we lost it? What happened to those morals that we have been taught to be one another's keeper, to be compassionate, to be kind, to be empathetic? What happened that with the advent of social media, which is supposed to be leveraged at a platform to galvanize support for others, it is being used to channel negative energy and sometimes even promote what is unacceptable? And so, as you are watching, please share your ideas and we will read them on here. And I think Max again said that is why it's very important for every individual to learn the basic life support, even if not educated in higher level. Yes, that's a good point. And I think we have Akenji watching from Dubai. We have Reagan. He says that it's important to learn the common lesson. Thanks advancing social media over common things. I think Derek Afumbom is saying, Happy Sunday, mentor. My namesake, Afu. Yes, Afu, you have been greeted there. Another special day to connect. Yes, indeed. Bafut Pekin, my man. Yes, thank you very much. Bafut Pekin said, Afu, that you are very intelligent. Bafut Pekin is not just a compassionate human being. He promotes everybody who is doing something good. And he is just an amazing human that I think a lot of people should listen and learn from him on how to be compassionate and kind as well.
Keep up the great.
Yes, Afu.
Yeah, so this leads us to a very interesting point. And you guys who are our regular viewers, you're going to look every single time you talk about digital footprint because it's applicable. And I think that digital footprint is very applicable in this, as I've previously mentioned, because a lot of people don't realize the consequences of their actions. Because let's say you have a video, we're going to use the example of grandma falling down and grandma rolling down a hill. So, grandma, if employers see grandma rolling down a hill on your page, they're gonna wonder how'd you get that video, and then they're gonna put
Correct.
two and two together and realize that you recorded grandma running down the stair, falling down the falling down the hill, and they're gonna because jobs don't only look for degrees, they don't only look for your technical skills, they look for your soft skills like compassion, reliability, resilience, skills like that. And by having videos like that on your For You page, you're inadvertently telling employers that I don't have compassion because if there's a video of a grandma falling down a mountain on your page and that you recorded, it's not that difficult to understand your sense of self just through videos like that. So that's why it's very vital to emphasize digital footprint. And while it's okay to post moments in your life, we should not be posting things that potentially may have an impact. Even if you're not sure, to be safe, don't post things like that. And to be extra sure, don't record things like that.
Yeah, that's a very important point you are bringing up. And I think it's really good to emphasize on that because the digital footprint that Afu is talking about here is anything you write and say on the internet will come to haunt you. And what she is talking about digital footprint is that if you record a video of a grandmother rolling down a hill, then the first thing that anybody who sees it and wanted your services in future will say, the grandma was actually rolling down a hill and you were there. You could have helped that grandma, but instead you stood and you were recording the grandma. And you even went ahead to post it for likes and views. That means that you are not empathetic, you are not compassionate, and you're not kind. And of course, you don't have that ability to be of service to others. And that will automatically take you out of the equation if the person needed to hire you for something else. Because one of the things that are going to be very, very important in the 21st century, especially in this 2024 going forward. People are not just looking for the highest degrees in the world. People are looking at critical thinkers. People are looking at compassionate people. People are looking at empathetic people, people who are kind. Can that person have that human ability to be kind to others, to feel for others? These are quite very, very important attributes that are not necessarily taught in school. And so employers are looking at people who can be able to be creative, but at the same time, who can have that ability to connect and be empathetic and be kind and be sympathetic to others. And those are values that are quite very, very important. So anytime you are videoing a fire without also showing how you have intervened to save a life, that you are videoing a grandmother without intervening to show how you rush in there to help lift her up and even take her to the hospital. And I like the example of Bafu Pekin. He uses stories of people to warn that we should not go down this path. And that is really, really educative for society. And this is really, really excellent. If each and every one of us can do it and say it is wrong, a lot of people will know that it is wrong. It is not the likes and the retweets that matter. It is not the forwards that matter. It is what you yourself believe that you've done. And even if you have only one like, at least you are happy because you've done the right thing. So, guys, this is how it is. Yes, Afu, let's move to the next.
Yeah,
So the
so I
next
just
is
wanted to butt in. You've mentioned a really good point about how moving forward, especially with the generation of artificial intelligence and machine learning, if employers want something that can do the work 100% precise, 100% accurate, they're gonna get a robot. They're gonna get an AI chatbot. However, what sets humans apart from artificial intelligence is our sensibility and our
right.
compassion and our soft skills that even in a million years, a robot cannot fully develop because they have not experienced the same things humans have. So that's why it's very important to also develop your soft skills. And it doesn't matter how, like one of my teachers always says, it doesn't matter how many times you get a question right. It matters how you grow from it. So, by us being able to grow and develop these soft skills, we will be able to then be more lucrative than just having a million different degrees from a million different universities.
Very, very important point. And I think, like you did say earlier, there is artificial intelligence, and of course, there are robotics that are already replacing actions that individuals used to carry out before, from being admin assistants to program assistants to helping edit other people's videos. The rule of humanity or human beings will still be there, but it will boil down to those points I mentioned: being creative, empathetic, sympathetic, kind, and actually empathy is very, very important, because for victims who you allow them to roll down a hill as you video, the sea of screens can exacerbate feelings of isolation and despair. And once anybody knows that you have that attitude of isolation and despair, it signals a societal shift from empathy to apathy. It means that you are not empathetic. And rescuers face not just physical obstruction, but a moral dissonance as they navigate through a crowd, more interested in capturing content than offering a helping hand. So if you are rushing through that, people are only capturing, you're also setting an example that what you are doing is wrong. You can be the one to go in and save somebody in a fire, recording and complaining and posting the video and complaining. What did you do? The question is, what did you do? So the reality is that this scenario vividly illustrates what Desmond 221 said. He said, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. The act of choosing to record rather than help inadvertently aligns one within action. Please be a helper and a sympathizer rather than just someone who focuses on taking negative situations. Afu, now let's get to the last part before I hand over to you, which is strategy to cultivate a culture of intervention over observation. What do you think should be the strategies for us to change this attitude that is becoming so chronic, and somehow people making it the norm, especially the young generation? Because I would expect the young generation to say enough. They have the energy, they're passionate, they're sharp, and they can be able to connect people using Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and say, guys, there is a fire here, right? Oh, a grandmother's fallen down here. Please, can you mobilize and we come and do A, B, C, D to solve the problem? Instead, it's likes, videos, and photos for likes. What says you?
That's a really interesting point because, like what airlines say, help yourself before helping others, which is obviously true. Like if there's a fire, don't like try to like end your life to help others, but you can help other people, but by other ways. For example, instead of using social media to bring someone down, if you see a poor grandmother in a village, instead of being like, oh, she fell down, you can mobilize a way for people to end up helping out for her hospital bills. And social media is very interesting because it can also spread advocacy rather than spreading defamation. And we are, like you said, what Desmond Tutu said, if we remain neutral in injustice, we then are taking the side of the perpetrator. If we see something wrong happening and we don't stand up for those who are oppressed, that doesn't make us any better than the oppressors. So, from a social justice perspective to a daily life perspective, if you see something that you don't agree with morally, that something is just pure wrong, don't be afraid to step up. Don't be afraid to respectfully, keyword respectfully, voice your opinion, because we can't be fighting fire with fire.
Absolutely. I love that. We can't be fighting fire with fire. And now we see on the internet fire being used to fight fire. At what time will this ever quench? Have we lost it? And I think it goes back to the point that was made here from Max Valerin, where she said that technology was meant was to help us to enhance our knowledge, but it rather came to destroy us instead of good using of it. We are taking away by negative part of it, which is what you are saying. People are trying to use fire to quench fire, which can never actually work. So, what says you?
Yeah, because it can't really work. Because even if we look at it from a chemical perspective, it wouldn't work. It would just make the fire bigger. That's just from a scientific perspective. But from a literal perspective, it's the same thing. Because let's say someone says something racially insensitive to you. If you say something racially insensitive back, that doesn't make you a better person. It makes you equally as bad. However, if somebody says something racially insensitive, you can then educate